Started small, and then over time, you play the long game, and you do a couple good flips, and then it gets bigger and bigger. So that original $2,500 investment, could be worth a couple $100,000 one day.
Everyone's always giving advice as what to do in collectibles. However, today, we need to tell you what not to do. I know I've made a lot of mistakes in my years of collecting.
So many.
I'm sure you have. Krupa's not sure. This guy doubles up on everything he ever buys.
Doesn't miss this kid.
But today we want to get into what is the biggest mistake you can make as a collector. Carlo, why don't you start us off?
I think I think now more than ever in the way the market is today, I think overreacting either way is a huge mistake. Meaning like, let's say you collect a quarterback, young quarterback. He has a bad game. It doesn't mean you sell all the cards, hang in there. On the flip side of that, you have someone that has a series of good games. Oh my God, he's the next LeBron James. Relax. He's probably not. So at the same time, maybe don't go blow your whole budget on that guy. Sometimes it's a little bit of a long game. And right now, the way cards are just so fluid, it's just, I think overreacting has become a big problem for collectors and investors across the board.
I like that.
Pretty good.
No, I agree.
Right?
What I see is I see people paying Tom Brady prices for a rookie or a second-year guy, but he's not Brady yet. He's not. We don't know if he's going to be Brady, but how many Tom Bradys have actually been in the NFL? How many guys have done what Brady has?
Yeah.
One. So if you go into that mindset thinking, oh, I'm going to spend if this was Brady, it'd be worth X, maybe you should just curb that, just a little bit, to kind of make more sense to where the guy's at. For me, buying guys on your team, I think, is a big one, right? Guys you're emotionally invested in. I would always find the prospect and someone I'm rooting for, and I would always buy him. Now, everybody wants to buy the guy you're rooting for, but unfortunately, I wasn't a New England Patriots fan where everyone in New England around the 2000s, Brady was the guy they rooted for. So we've seen
all those jerk-offs in Boston just bought all those Brady cards. I'm buying it mad, you know what I mean?
Right, well, we've actually seen guys who have spent 10 grand, 20 grand on Brady's, cashing out for millions. And we're like, man, we didn't get lucky.
Let's go to the buy, yeah.
Right, we didn't have Brady, Man, that's
a good point.
That's a good one, though. But
that's actually a really good point. I mean, think about being like a Yankees fan, buying a crazy expensive
Shane Spencer,
Stanton or something, like the Superfractor or something like that.
Oh my gosh, you know what? I actually know somebody who did that. Look, I've made a lot of mistakes. I'm saying, and that's probably why through mistakes.
That's not a mistake, though.
No, I don't. Maybe not. We'll see. It might be. I mean, the guy's won for his last 25, but at least it was a home run. But through mistakes is really how I've learned to not make them anymore. And I'll start with some of my biggest ones. My biggest mistakes were early on. I would sell too quick. And it wasn't that I would sell too quick, meaning, I bought it and just flipped. When I needed money, I would just liquidate.
Yeah.
And now I like that what I should have done, instead of just rushing to eBay and throwing a 7-day auction on a LeBron game-used jersey, I should have gone to a Goldin type house, maybe got an advance if I needed the money and actually let it run its course and truly get the true value, because I was just looking to liquidate real quick. I didn't realize that you could actually go and say, hey, can I get an advance? Or, and then actually get it in the right setting. Once Goldin and all these other auction houses kind of came to my mind, at least, I started doing that. I started basically taking out advances and kind of selling in the right settings. I'd buy in the wrong settings. I'd buy on eBay auctions and things like that. And then I'd take it to the big auction houses and I would just keep cycling products through. And I actually realized, that's how you're supposed to make money. You're supposed to buy in the wrong settings and sell in the right settings, So that one for me is a big one, just selling too quickly and in the wrong setting. I've turned $6,000 into $1,500 real quick, I've done that a few and it stings,
I think for me, I didn't know right off the bat, but as I'm hearing you guys talk, I think one of the biggest ones to me would be the keeping up with the Joneses factor, where you're constantly trying to buy to impress other people, where I think you almost...
Look how shiny.
Right. No, that's a good one.
Sometimes people go outside of their means just to buy a card that they think is in a certain tier of other people who are other collectors. But I think what people don't realize is even the biggest collectors, they started small. So even for me or other people, I bought cards that were a couple $1,000.
Like a Trout Red or something juvenile.
No, but I started small, and then over time, you play the long game and you do a couple good flips, and then it gets bigger and bigger. So that original $2,500 investment, could be worth a couple $100,000 one day as it grows and grows and grows. But I think people look at certain guys' collections and say, oh, so-and-so, all he does is have, $100,000 cards or $1 million card. Like, I got to, like, take a credit line out and just do this or do that. Like, I think spend crazy just to, like, be in that conversation with these people, where I think there is that long game you can play at any level, any tier. You can start low, make a couple good purchases that you believe in, flip those, make good money on it, and just keep going from there. It's the actual long game itself that's fun.
It's
but I feel like
interesting.
people try to skip those steps a lot of the
Yeah, I mean, that's interesting because to me, growing up, like, I didn't have a lot of people to show off
but
my
I was
cards
gonna say
to.
this
IG now, right?
And
Yeah, it wasn't
what Ryan's
like
saying,
that.
It's a newer.
None of my friends cared if I had a shiny or a
right.
Stanton Super Fractal. Actually, they wouldn't even know who he was at the
Right.
time. So I can see that
And
now
Instagram,
being an issue.
It's like this world, I think. Instagram, everything is like driven by Instagram, and everyone's posting for the likes. And he just got this, he just got that. Sorry, I cursed. But that's kind of the thing to me. I just think people are kind of buying not always for themselves and the enjoyment of it, but they're buying because they think that, so and so is gonna be impressed by this, or this is gonna be something that gets me to that next tier, and then you're buying outside of your means. And then a lot of times that's when you sell things and you lose money because you need money back because you shouldn't have spent that in the first place.
These are all good learning lessons, right? But I don't know if necessarily the biggest. I would say the biggest mistake you could make collecting is buying things with the wrong authenticity. Hands down. You want to know what you're buying is real. I've been burned. I've bought jerseys that I thought were game used. Turns out they weren't even team issued. You have right, they take their letter back. I literally bought a jersey, LeBron game used jersey. It had a letter from this auction house. It had a letter from that one. It had a letter from NBA Hall of Fame. I consigned it a few years later. I paid $6,000 back in his rookie season for this Olympics jersey.
A lot back then.
Yeah, right, exactly. I was like, I'm going all in. I'm buying the best LeBron rookie jersey, which I was hoping to have that $1 million item.
Right.
I went to reconsign it and sell it, and that auction house tells me, we actually learned that he wore a different size after we authenticated it.
Wow.
They took their letter away. They listed it as team issued, and I'm like, I'm gonna get $800 for this thing. So that, with game used jerseys, with signatures, buy a signature non-authenticated, and then you can't get it passed. You have nothing. There's no money there.
There's a lot of really good crooks out there in this, and you're right. You got to educate yourself.
Fake PSA slabs, fake slabs,
How about GAI?
right?
I mean, they were around for a long time. GAI?
Well, GAI, you're probably getting a trimmed card, but I'm saying, let's say we go to like an eBay.
No, but they had no.
Oh, GAI autographs, and GAI was pretty good. You're right. They were reputable for a little while.
Right.
But let's say you're saying I'm buying PSA, but you're buying it from the wrong person.
Right.
They can fake the slabs these days, right? They can crack them open. I've even seen Beckett authenticate cards that were trimmed, So I mean, there's so much more, which is why you really need to buy from a credible source. Which is why you would come to a big auction house, obviously, to buy the items.
True.
You'll pay a premium. You want to pay a premium because the best items, as we've seen, go up over time, especially if you're buying the best. But if you're buying items, let's say you bought that PSA 10 Jordan and you got it from the wrong source, and it turns out that the guy copied the serial number. Maybe the card's real inside. You thought you had a $300,000 card. You have nothing.
We've seen it happen.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So for me, that is the biggest thing. Authenticity, authenticity, authenticity.
But just remember, good players have bad games. Bad players have good games. Don't overreact. Thanks again, Dave.
Thanks, Dave.
All right, guys. We'll see you next week.